Hello, with you. He's going to talk.
Thank you. First of all, it is a dream come true to be at the legendary PloneConf, and especially in such an amazing country like it is Brazil with such wonderful people. So thank you everybody for being here, and especially the organizing team and Erico. And I agree, it's wonderful to be surrounded by such capable, brilliant people, and that I have the luck now to call colleagues and friends. So right now I'm going to talk about the Volto Light theme. I'm going to focus more on the ideas, concepts, and philosophy behind it, more than the technicalities about how it was put together. The last year we had a talk about the more technical side of how it was built. And well, now we have documentation for the Volto Light theme. So I've been a developer for the Kit concept team for a couple years now. And yeah, well, let's start. So why was a need for a Volto Light theme? Well, because we need a unified approach for talking about how Plone 6 comes with this new React frontend. But the React is such a big world and there are so many options. We were maybe starting to get lost with different approaches. So we needed a unified effort about how do we make a Plone frontend. Also, we know how quickly all of these technologies move, and there is always a need to ensure that the way things are right now will mostly continue to be the same. And now, like in a year, we're going to have a completely different thing. So ensuring consistency and future proofing is necessary for everybody. And at the same time, it's part of an effort to move away from outdated design systems like semantic UI. Like I'm sure many of you have hit the wall trying to fight back semantic UI. So we're getting rid of that and having our own system, heavily relying on the package Plone components. So Volto Light theme, also named VLT. I'm pretty sure Fred is the one that started the trend, which I really like because Volto Light theme can be a mouthful. It's a design philosophy. Who is this aimed for? It is aimed for developers, of course, because we need to deal with it. That is part of why we started pushing for it for ourselves. But also, it is for editors. We want to improve the experience of editors using Plone. And if the editors have a good time, then probably the users will end up with a better result as well. So this is for all the layers around, all the people around Plone. And how do we do this? Through consistency. Consistency defined as having or aiming to have intuitive objects across projects. And by objects, I am borrowing a little bit the definition from OOUX, that an object is a thing that you interact with, right? So we can maybe all this three groups of people, devs, editors, and users, maybe we find a common ground when we talk about things we interact with. And this is the objects that we're trying to make intuitive. How do they work? What happens if I modify them? No surprises, right? Like I want something to move in a certain way. That's what it does. Again, future proofing, because it is aligned with the Volto vision. It is it relies heavily on the community feedback and the community needs. What do we need to do many times again and again with new projects? That is the corners in which we're trying to solve it. And also, we've been talking at this point in the morning about accessibility. Accessibility, I like the definition as being able to access. And this is, again, it's for developers, it's for the editors, and also for the users. One of the most beloved features of the Volto Light theme is that it takes care of the block spatial relationships, which before you could have several blocks, but maybe they would have different spacings, and you would end up with an funky looking layout if every add-on, every block has its own rules about how much space it wants and it needs. It doesn't create consistent layouts. So the Volto Light Theme takes advantage of a block wrapper that would put all of the blocks together if they share the same background color. So for example, in the image here, we see 4 paragraphs. The first 2 are white, and the next one is gray. So nothing else was done other than adding the paragraphs of text, and then the third paragraph was turned gray. So we see how it automatically like rearranges the spaces so it has a more clear, a more just like a better design layout just out of the box. You don't need to do anything. You can just change the colors and it will just rearrange to make more sense out of the layout. And also, it's not just based on the background color, but also on the type of block. Because maybe we want a small space if we have a paragraph and then another paragraph, that if we have a paragraph, let's say, and then a block image or a button image. So the Volto Light Theme takes care of all of these relationships among the blocks based on the type and properties of them. Another thing that we're aiming to generalize and handle in a better, easier way is the width of the blocks. We have 3 widths in the Volto Light Theme. The layout width that is meant for major elements like the header, the footer, and also large blocks. We can see here, we have the heading. Then we have a slider block that has the same width as the heading and the footer because we want something impactful, right? Then we have the default width that is a more balanced width for most blocks. This is why it is the default that we can see. We have a separator block, which is the line, then an introduction block, and then another separator block. So we can, in this example, see the layout width, then the default width, and then finally we have a narrow width that improves readability because we don't want the line of text to go from side to side of the image. So this is an example of the 3 widths in the same layout and the dynamics they create. The Volto Light Theme also comes with not required but highly recommended set of blocks that play very nicely with it and already support all of these design principles. And they are the grid block, which we already saw, and we saw its improvements. The teaser block that it goes together with it. We have the slider block that I just showed earlier. A button block, which is a button that you can configure for your Volto site. The separator block that I also just showed in the previous image. Headings to improve the division and the content of the text. An introduction block that I also just showed, and an accordion block. I'm gonna now show you this. So you can go to light-theme.kitconcept.io if you want to take a look at it, play with it. It's there. I recommend it. If we go to the first section, we'll see here in the menu a full list of the blocks that work nicely with the Volto Light Theme, and their variations, right? So yeah, again, for example, we can go into the grid, and we'll see the variations. We can go to the teaser block, which is the example we were looking at, right? So I do recommend, please go and take a look. Feel free to experiment. Like it is an instance meant to be played and experimented with. So go and take a look over there. About the Volto Light Theme 6, which we now have an alpha release already, the new features that come with it are the following ones that I'm going to go through each of them. So the first one is a visual regression test. This is the first version of it that we have, and we already are planning on a few small improvements. But it is really amazing when you're going through a process of refactoring your styles or other parts that end up modifying the result of your pages. And also, it's super helpful to avoid style leaks. The way it works is that you have a reference snapshot that is stored. And then after you make your changes, it will take snapshots of the current page with the latest changes you did, and it will compare them. Here, for example, I made a change. So this is my reference snapshot, and here we are seeing where the test is telling me something changed here. This is why it's in red. It compares the two snapshots and it says something changed here. So I'm not going to show it live because it takes a minute, but this is more or less how it looks. And this is our current snapshot. It uses Cypress, and when you hover over the reference snapshot, it shows you the current snapshot. So for example, we can see what is changing here. We went from 16/9 aspect ratio to a 1:1 aspect ratio. And if we pay attention, for example, we can see the highlight title here. We can almost see it down here, right? So it is overlaying the reference snapshot with the current one. And if we go to the next one, we can see how we have the title now down here, which is the one we see here. So this is the idea behind it, and it is really useful to catch little things that maybe you were not aware of. So I do, again, highly, highly recommend it when doing refactoring and style updates. Now, also, we have an aspect ratio field for the images. So let me show you that one. I already created here a page to show you guys, and this is how it looks. So we have the aspect ratio that comes with the image already. It's default aspect ratio, and then we can modify it. By default, we have two options: the 16/9 and the 1:1. And to change it, all you have to do is go into edit mode, select your block, and right here you have a field to change the aspect ratio. So we can select the 1:1, 16/9, or just the default. It would be also possible to add more if you wanted to have more options for your images. Along this line, we also have a CSS custom property that, if activated and set to a specific value, it would affect all images in your site. So this means the image block, the images in the teasers. So all the images will just be uniform with the same aspect ratio, but it's very opinionated to just set it as a default, because maybe we don't want all images to just be changing aspect ratio automatically. But it is there if the use case is what you need. We also have new widgets for the block width and the block alignment. I went a little bit through this during the training on Monday, but let me show you how this looks. So I'm gonna go to the bottom block. I think it's a very good example of this. So again, you go to edit mode, and these are the two new widgets that we have. They work, or they're meant to work with all blocks. So we're trying to generalize how do we handle the block width, how do we handle the alignment, regardless of what block it is. Again, accessibility, right? Like, you need to understand once how to handle the width with the Volto Light Theme, and understand once how do you handle the alignment. It doesn't matter what it is. And this is this is amazing for devs, but then it's translated into an easier editing experience. And then probably, if editors are comfortable, you might have better end results for the final users. So we can align left, center, right, and I'm gonna add here a paragraph. So we have a narrow width as an example. So for example, right here, the button is using the default width, and this is why it's going beyond where the paragraph is. But if I do want it to align with the narrow width, all I have to do is to click here, and then it is aligned with the text. So what is happening? Again, we are relying heavily on CSS custom props. We really like them because you can have it there open, but if you don't set it, it doesn't do anything. It's just there for whenever you need it. So it's very safe to have them just in case, or to have them for certain context on your site, but maybe you don't want it all the time. We really love them, and we heavily rely on them. We are very excited about. We also use container queries to handle the responsiveness, which is a better approach on media queries. And we're very excited. In the future, we'll be able to query the containers based on CSS custom props. This would open a lot of more flexibility and a lot more options. It is coming. So about the block width. So as we can see here, we have a CSS custom prop called block width, and that is pointed at the variable narrow container width. If I change this one, all it happens is just pointing the block width to a different value, and it just works. And the same thing we have for the block alignment CSS prop. It is right now pointed to the align left custom property. Now it is an align center. This is the one that we're looking at. And then left. We have a new color system because, again, trying to generalize what are the things that we often have to redo and rethink and re-implement. It was complicated to implement having many color options for a blog, and even more if you want to just those options for particular blogs. So this is why we are generalizing how the colors are handled. And let me show you again how that one looks like. I'm gonna again put a paragraph so we can look at it. Here. So we can see the first custom prop called theme color. We have another one that is called yes. Is that better? Okay. Well, we have the theme color that okay, something important to start creating this mental map about colors. We always need them to be in pairs. We need something that is going to be on the background, and we need a color that is going to go on the foreground. The foreground is often also called text color, but since we use it for other things, not just text, let's say a border, maybe an icon, this is why we are going for more generic foreground color, but like very often in many other systems, it's called the text color. So we can see a theme color, a high contrast color that is used, for example, in the cards of the teaser block, that we have the white background, but we have a gray card. This is the high contrast color. Then we have the theme foreground color that will be the text or the icons or the borders. And then we have another foreground color when we need like a secondary color for all these elements, for example, for disabled text. So we can of course just change this, right? And then we can set this one to white, for example. And this is how it is handled for all the blocks in the Volto Light theme. So it makes it very easy to just handle exactly how you want your blocks to look. During the training, we explain certain patterns that are very straightforward, in which you can change the color options. So I'm going to go again here in the edit, and we see that we have the two options here. So we show the pattern. How can you replace those options if you want to, or how can you add more options? And even better, you could do that per block. So if there's a particular block, let's say the button block, that you want not just two options, but you want 3 or more options, you can just handle it per block by following the same pattern, and it will just behave exactly the same. We have a feature that is adding a theming component inside a bob header slot. This means it's always going to be present there. And I'm going to show this one with the next feature. That is new support for custom footer links and logos. This is another thing we realized we were having to do every time, because every time people want different links on their footer, different icons on their footer. So we were being forced to do this over and over again. To show this is requires the Volto Light theme, but also requires some backend work that currently it is. You can find it in the Kit Concept intranet. So that's the one that I'm gonna show you right now. Timo already mentioned like the intranet. There's gonna be a more talk. So this is the example of the Kit Concept intranet. So you go into edit mode. You go in your Plone side tab, and for starters, you can now simply exchange the logo you want to use. So I'm gonna go to here, pick a logo, and then the colors that I showed before are for the blocks, but we also have CSS properties to handle the colors of the other elements in the layout: the header, the search, the fab menu, and the footer. We can see them here. So you can just simply click, and then it says navigation text color. So you'll see how it changes. Now it's red. Let's make it maybe match with the logo we just added. This is for the fab menu. Like, we're not gonna be able to see it right now because we're in edit, but like let's also change the color. The fab menu. Oh, this is the text color. So let's make this one light, and then the background. What we can see in this view is the footer as well. We can change the background color, for example. As well as the font color. We have another CSS custom pop that will handle the color of the links, all the links in your site. Again, this was a little strong to just set it as a default, but it's just there if this is the use case that works for you. The same way, we can now change the links that are here. So I can just set my link. Let's say we can pick a target from our site, for example, the About page, and we can add more. Now let's point this one to Plone.org, and we can select we want this link to open on a new tab. Same for the logos. We can just easily, now we can see we have our new logo. If we go into the menu, now we have the new colors there, and same for the footer. If we go to the About page, then is where we see the breadcrumbs also changing, just using the same colors as the fab menu. So very easily, instead of having to go and changing a lot of things and customizing per color, like, you just go on your sidebar, you just change it, and this also gives a lot of power to editors and site administrators to just slightly tweak their product according to their needs. And now I would like to show you some Volto Light Theme in action. So you can see, like, you've been looking at the Volto Light Theme default, and now I want to show you what people have been doing with it and building on top, which to me is amazing because I was just sharing some colleagues. I'm very used to staring at the Volto Light Theme in default, and then looking what people are doing with it is just amazing. So for starters, the Plone conference site for this year, this looks familiar, right? But now, instead of all the work that the team had to put to make it look this way, it could have been done in a few clicks. Another example is the YouMove site from Finland. And as you can see, like it has similar, it has a similar style, but it's also very different. And this is why it's amazing. Like it's a very sensible, flexible starting point, but from there you can take it in any direction you want, right? Like the listing block looks amazing like this and completely different, and yet you're bringing with you all the benefits and consistency and ease of use that the Volto Light Theme has to offer. This is another website. We can see that the slider looks different here. They customize the flag color, which is another great thing that we talked about during the training. The custom props for the colors that we set in place are the beginning. If you want more, let's say you want a custom prop to handle the flag color as well, like you just add your custom prop, and as soon as you're going through the theme colors on the sidebar, like you can just keep adding more values, more colors, and maybe not just colors to your styles. This is another site. It's a project 312, climbing 312 mountains, which again we can see similar things, but it's completely own design, own flavor. This is another great example. Again, like we can start looking how it looks similar, but you can do basically anything you want with it, and keeping all the benefits that the Volto Light Theme has to offer for you. There are many more. I know Fred is working one, but it's going to be released in a couple days. But he's going to talk about it, and you'll get another example of an amazingly developed site with Volto Light Theme. So the future for the Volto Light Theme. There is an effort, just like we have been generalizing how blocks behave about widths, alignment, and colors. We're going one step further, and we want to propose a new block anatomy. This is going to help us keep generalizing and making more intuitive what is happening with the block. What is this block going to do if I change this aspect of it? We're going to improve the edit mode experience. We want to get even closer to what you see is what you get. Currently, we have a more assembly look when we're going to edit with more space between the elements, but we're aiming to just make the match as close as we can. And of course, continuous refinement. As I was mentioning, the Volto Light Theme relies on feedback, but not just feedback, but contributions from the community, because we also want to hear how can we keep making the Volto Light Theme better and just more usable and funner to use as well. And that's it. Thank you.
So, you know the drill. Line up. If you have questions, please come here. Not all at once. Se vocês quiserem fazer perguntas, fila aqui. Sério, ninguém aqui?
Oh, clear.
It was so clear. People do not even have questions anymore. Dante, thank you. As you can see, I use Volto Light Theme a lot. Personally, it's not because you're my colleague, we work together, but it's really, really amazing. Thank you for coming here. So a round of applause to Dante.
Thank you.